I'm Terry Madonna, and welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, no politics and no campaigns on this edition of Pennsylvania Newsmakers. How about the great American talent search, and what about great teaching? We'll get to all of that after these words.
This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers, a fast-paced, unrehearsed weekly discussion with and about the leaders who shape your world. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
Well, welcome back to the program. This is going to be an education segment. No, not segment, the entire program. We'll get back to politics and government and campaigns, the other things that we do on this program. But first, sitting across from me is the president of Franklin and Marshall College, Dan Porterfield. I wanted to have President Porterfield on this program because of something that I call the Great American Talent Search. He has another name for it, but what do you call it, Mr. President?
Well, it's called the American Talent Initiative.
Right.
And what it is 30 top institutions, public, private, north, south, east, west,
right,
including Franklin and Marshall and Lehigh in Pennsylvania, have set a national goal that in 9 years we should have 50,000 more high-achieving, low-income students attending the nation's top 270 colleges, right, based on graduation rate.
Right.
And it's a goal that's about serving kids, serving communities, strengthening the American economy, and making sure that every student in all of our top colleges has the benefit of going to college with hardworking kids of modest backgrounds.
Now, here's what I find really interesting, fascinating, and important. So what this initiative is basically about is you're going into communities where these kids probably wouldn't get the higher ed. In many ways, these are in communities in which, they suffer economically, they have, all sorts of problems. So literally, you're helping to transform them, and many of these initiatives are done with two words, private sector.
That's right. Franklin and Marshall College developed a talent strategy about 5 years ago in which we invested a significant amount more money in need-based financial aid. And then we went out all across the state of Pennsylvania and also to other states in the country to go to schools that serve talented kids who may not know about college opportunity to say, we've got financial aid. You do the schoolwork. We'll help support your tuition. And together, let's create a great educational community. So in 5 years, Franklin and Marshall has become so much stronger academically because we have invested our resources in helping families pay for college.
And as you point out, other schools, this is going to be perhaps typical, not atypical. This is going to spread through thousands of colleges, I think, eventually, right?
That's the plan. So F&M went first, and over 5 years, we really strengthened our student body. And so then Bloomberg Philanthropies asked us to help spread the work we're doing.
That's Michael Bloomberg, right?
That's right, Michael Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York. And so we created this initiative of 29 other schools joining us to expand opportunity for hardworking, deserving, modest economic background
And there'll be
students.
another 30 in the next couple of years.
Oh, yeah. So the first group includes Harvard, Stanford, as I said, Lehigh, Princeton, some public institutions, University of Texas at Austin, University of Maryland, Ohio State, top schools, public and private.
There are two related sort of questions. One is, these are students who can do the work. Let's get that out of the way.
That's right. There's a big study done by a woman named Caroline Hawksby from Stanford that shows that every single year in America, there are 50,000 kids with A averages and top 10% test scores that don't apply to any of the top 270 colleges by graduation rate. This is about fixing that problem. And it is actually very fixable. And the beauty of it is, if you fix this problem and get these top kids into top schools, it helps every student in the school and it helps their communities.
I go back, we're all looking about what to do in urban America and rural America to deal with declining education. How could anyone in their right mind sit back and say, this doesn't make any sense?
Well, at F&M, we've really seen the student body get strengthened because we've recruited kids from the Pittsburgh area, from Harrisburg, from Lancaster, from the Philadelphia area, and from rural Pennsylvania.
And all over the world.
And of course, all over the world. But there are kids right here in Pennsylvania going to schools, in the center of the state that have got so much talent. They should be going to any school they want to. And the important thing is that schools have to reach out to the families and make the financial aid available. You know, we've got a young man named Sheldon Ruby who's going to graduate from F&M this year, who's from Everett, Pennsylvania, a small community.
Oh yeah, I know where Everett is.
And you know, he just got a scholarship to go to grad school for free for 2 years, and then a guaranteed job in the U.S. State Department representing America.
All right, we're going to run to a quick break, and we come back. We want to continue the discussion with the president of Franklin Marshall College, Dan Porterfield, and we'll do that after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, now celebrating 100 years as the statewide voice of business, and by the Pennsylvania State Education Association and Partners for Public Education, bringing the power of a great education to our schools, our students, and our communities. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Highway Information Association, the go-to source to learn about transportation projects and issues. Please visit pahighwayinfo.org. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
Well, welcome back to the program. Joining me is the president of Franklin Marshall College. Of course, I'm a professor at that college, but I wanted President Porterfield to come on, particularly because there's initiatives going on, not just at Franklin and Marshall, but all over the country that are dramatically going to improve not just the lives of Americans, but I think you would agree with this, the economy.
Absolutely.
We're talking about, go ahead.
Well, you know, the state of Pennsylvania is a state where we've seen job loss and we've seen wage loss over the past 20 years. And the population of the state is getting older.
Right.
It's crucially important that we educate our young well and that we keep them in the state.
Absolutely.
Holding good jobs to support the strength of the state and, of course, to help support eventually the retirement of the older members of the Commonwealth who are counting on us having a strong economy for their elder years. Education is the key to the state's economic and social strength. One of the things that we've done at Franklin and Marshall is we've developed a program called the College Advising Corps, where I have 25 young college graduates, mostly F&M graduates, working in rural and urban high schools across the state, from Adams County to Lancaster County to Philadelphia, providing free college advising to modest income kids. And last year we counseled 7,500 students, including about 1,500 seniors. Yes, it's an amazing reach and impact. And by getting good college advising for free, that allows students to learn about college options, how to apply for financial aid, best fit colleges, even how to get an early start on college by taking college courses in summers or in high school to reduce the cost of college, make it more quick and efficient to go through college. And the beauty of education is that education is about investing in the talent of our kids. Nothing's more important for a democracy than giving the talented kids the chance to thrive.
Absolutely. And you know, I'm sure you and I have talked about this over the years. You know, it's not everybody doesn't have to go to college. We're not. I don't think you're saying that. There's lots of skilled trades, but those you're talking about those who can do the work and who want to go, right?
That's right. That's right. And secondly, I would say it's vitally important that colleges offer something valuable to kids. You know, with public colleges, private colleges, two-year colleges, technical colleges, there's a wide range of opportunities.
That's a great point.
But technology changes the work experience of all of us so much, and so every job will be different 5, 10, and 15 years.
You know, I'm going to interrupt you. You were quoted as saying that we've got to be careful that we don't, in college, get so specialized that moving forward, as you just pointed out, you get these changes that take place in the work environment that all of a sudden you may have one training so narrow that you can't make the talk about that. That's important.
You know, so Franklin and Marshall College is a great school that really launches kids into opportunity. And we provide an education that gives them the foundation of excellent education, good writing, analytical skills, the ability to do research, and we help kids discover opportunity and compete to go get jobs. Well, 99% of our graduates last year were working full-time or in grad school full-time 6 months after graduation. But those jobs they're in will change every 5 to 10 years. And
if not sooner.
Exactly. So they need education that gives them the agility and the intellectual power to adjust as the economy adjusts. And a great education is the single finest way to prepare students for a changing society.
So you've been working on some programs and some policies having to do with education in this state. Is there any dimension to that you can talk about?
Yeah. Well, one thing has been our work with the College Advising Corps. We want to grow that. I'd like to have 50 counselors working in a couple of years all across the state, in the western and northern parts of the state, in addition to the central part where we are today. But secondly, I've been in some conversations with the governor, Tom Wolf, who's convened education leaders and asked us to think, how can we reduce the cost of education for our families while increasing the value?
And I'm getting a lot of cheering out there.
Absolutely.
Cheering about that.
Well, the two things have to come together.
Yeah,
it has to be quality education at a reasonable cost. This is, I think, an opportunity for Republicans, Democrats, private sector, public sector, public schools, private schools to team up. How do we create a state educational structure so that we invest in our kids and keep them in the state as productive citizens? They'll take care of the whole state going forward.
And I'm back. I know that just following this, both the work you do and others, that we're really talking about a lot of private sector initiatives. I'm not just talking about at private schools, but asking folks to make contributions, so it's just not all relying on on government aid. I think that. So how could you oppose that?
No, I think what we should do is go out and canvass the employers, the private sector, and really listen to them about the job skills they want to see our college graduates have in order to make the state's economy robust.
All right, look, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. All right, coming up, we've been doing this series on great teaching, and we're going to get into all of that and more after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Credit Union Association. Pennsylvania Credit Unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, check out ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Hospital and Health System Association of Pennsylvania, working towards a healthy Pennsylvania, and by the Pennsylvania Coal Alliance, representing companies involved in America's most affordable, reliable energy source. To learn more, visit pacoalalliance.com.
Welcome back to the program. We ask the folks at Pennsylvania State Education Association to get together and bring in some great teachers, and we're doing that. Jerry Oleksiak is here. He's the president of that organization, and Clovis Gallon is here. He's a teacher in the York City School District, and I have to point out he's the basketball coach because I'm a basketball fan. All right, Jerry, how important is this? We hear all this criticism of teaching.
Way too much criticism.
But there are great things going on, and that's what we want to go ahead.
There are great things going on in our schools, and we've had some folks visit you already with some of the great things that are going on. And where Clovis works, and you'll hear a lot from him in York City, they have some financial pressures that a lot of districts don't have. But even with that, the folks in York City and some of the other districts that we represent who do have some difficult economic circumstances and don't have the funding they need, they do incredible work every day. It's like small miracles that take place every day.
I couldn't agree more. Now, you teach special education. I must tell you, I can't imagine a tougher discipline given the great challenges that you face. What do you do that works?
Well, the biggest thing about teaching in the York City School District and teaching overall is being able to build relationships with kids. And once the kids recognize that you have their best interest at heart and they trust you, then you can really find ways to get them to improve and be able to meet their goals, whether they're academic goals or behavioral goals that you set in place for the students. I also try to build strong parent relationships. I reach out to my parents on a daily basis.
Oh, that's wonderful.
You know, I have a caseload, you know, of about 17 to 18 students, and parents typically hear from me at least once a week.
Wow.
And they call me, and some of them that I have really, really good relationships with, they have my cell phone number. They can contact me or text me directly about some of the concerns that they may have with their child. I check in with them on a daily basis. So once the kids realize that you have a vested interest in their welfare, then it's easier to get them to, you know, find success in the classroom.
Yeah. You're a financially distressed district. How big a role has that played, or I should say the lack of resources?
A huge role.
I got that.
It's almost like, you know, where do you want me to start? You know, as a graduate of William Penn Senior High School in the New York City School District, and, you know, I can remember back in the early 90s, all of the supports that were in place, all of the activities, all of the sports, all of the staff that were there. I mean, York City School District was, William Penn Senior High School was not only the flagship of the York City School District, but the York City School District itself was, it was a pillar in the county itself. And since that time, our school system has been decimated. You know,
I'm going to let you get away with this. I'm a Lancaster County guy at McCaskey. I won't pursue that, but we all had, you know where I'm heading with this, right, for the folks out there. All right, you brought in a video, Jerry. What's it about?
Well, we have, there's a piece of legislation passed under the Corbett administration, the Financial Recovery Act, and we have 4 districts that have been impacted by that. And there's no finances, and it makes the recovery difficult.
My gosh.
But we put together a video at PSEA to show the great work that our teachers are doing there, the students are doing there, and we have a clip, I think, about a minute long that you're going to see.
All right, we'll roll it. Let's roll it.
My hope for the future of Chester Upland is that people will come and see us and come see what we're really about instead of listening to what everyone have to say.
My hope for the students, the future students of Harrisburg, is that they're going to be successful and be competitive for every other career that's out there with every other school district. I want them to have the success that they deserve.
Well, I can speak for myself and the educators that I work with. We love our jobs. We love working with children. So it's easy to wake up every morning and get dressed and come to work. Sometimes I don't even call it work. I say, I'm going to school. Because every day brings on a different challenge, and when you see that aha moment in a kid, when you've reached them, that's when you really feel good about what it is that you're doing.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Medical Society. Inspired physicians committed to the good health of Pennsylvanians and the advancement of the practice of medicine. And by the Pennsylvania Healthcare Association, advancing quality, improving lives. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Business Council and by the Pennsylvania Business Council Education Foundation.
Well, welcome back to the program. We're talking about great teaching and how you teach and perform your functions, particularly in financially distressed school districts. I'll go back to you, Clovis Gallon, York City Schools. What do you do when the resources aren't there that you need? Besides carry them in a truck or do something, talk about that.
I mean, when the resources aren't there, you have to, you volunteer your time. You've been there. There was a year that I was asked to. I've been coaching now for. This is year 16 as a coach in the district, and there was a year that they asked me to volunteer to coach. Teachers are volunteering their time to restart clubs and restart some sports as club sports. Teachers are volunteering their monies to go out and purchase supplies for their classrooms, and so students can have the things they need in order to be successful. I know that there are districts where students are asked to actually pay for some of their sports supplies that they need in order to be to run those programs.
And in some cases, you know, they just can't afford it.
And in some cases,
not every family is capable of doing that, right?
Especially in a district like York City, where over 80% of the student population is socially or economically disadvantaged.
Yeah. Now, this is going on in many parts of the state, right?
Right. There are 4 districts across Pennsylvania, York City, Harrisburg, Chester Upland, Duquesne, you know, across the whole state that are under the Financial Recovery Act. And I kind of smile when you mention truckloads of supplies. Yeah. We literally, right before Christmas, the teachers in the Chester Upland area, around Chester Upland, those teachers had a supply drive and collected a truckload of supplies to bring to the folks at Chester Upland. And I'm talking paper, pencils, art supplies, just the basic notebooks, things that kids need every day. But it's very difficult in some of these districts, and it really, you know, Clovis mentioned people spending their own money, volunteering their own time. They're doing it for those kids. They care about those kids. They care about that community.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the point about why we're doing what we're doing. I mean, we hear a lot of negative stuff. It's all the schools are this, the schools are that, and they're underperforming and all that. And I don't think folks realize, now I know they look at me and say, well, you're a college professor, you were in the classroom for a zillion years, you know, you're sticking up for people in your profession. The answer is yes to that. And we're not saying, as we talked about before, that we're not going to say that there aren't the bad apples. There are bad apples in every profession, right? We're not going to say there aren't, but there's a lot of good going on. Well, how are you overcoming the financial distress? I mean, what are you, is there something that you're doing? What do you need? Well, let me rephrase that. What do you need to do your job better?
Money. I mean, quite honestly, quite frankly, the school district needs money. You know, you think about the staffing inadequacies that we have to be able to meet students' needs in the district right now. It really starts there. And then you think about a student having a well-rounded education. It's not just about being in the classroom to make sure the students are meeting the benchmarks so they can pass their Keystone exams. The students need a well-rounded education, and in order to have that, you need all those social activities. You need all those sports programs, so you can have some leverage on the students.
And especially, you know, obviously about what he does, because you did the same.
I did. I was a special ed teacher.
I was going to say you have the same thing.
Right.
But would you agree with those comments? We have about 40 seconds left.
Yes, we need more resources, and we have a new funding formula in the state, and we're hoping that will start to drive out the resources that folks need. The governor has made education a priority. We've seen more of those resources, and it is starting to help, but we have a long way to go.
Yeah. And there was an increase in education spending and an increase generally in the budget, and we'll see where that all goes. Well, look, I want to thank you for coming in, and we'll look forward to your next great teacher, I'll put it that way.
Thank you, Terry.
All right, we'll see you next week for another edition of Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, stay well.